Right. In addition to all of the sort of grandstanding, I also think there is some sort of winking and nodding to his base that's like, I wanted to do it. It didn't, it didn't work out, sort of continuing his narrative that is nowhere near reality. Harry, I want to ask you, Congressman Jamie Raskin says the committee is closely examining the Secret Service. Take a listen.
A number of the actions undertaken by the Secret Service have raised serious suspicions on the part of different members of the committee, and we intend to get to the bottom of that. That's a matter of utmost gravity. The Secret Service demands complete professionalism and not political loyalty to a particular individual.
Okay, so, Harry, to say nothing of the potential consequences for our national safety, for our national security, just talk me through the potential consequences then for those agents who covered for Trump.
Well, they've got to get to the bottom of it, and that's step number one. And I don't know if they'll have time. I don't think it's too likely if the House changes hands. But there's reason to think that people just destroyed their texts, even though they knew they weren't supposed to. And we now know they received all these really dire warnings of murderous action by the Proud Boys, and they just later said, well, we didn't get anything. Those are two scandals that really are at risk of being buried depending on what happens to Congress. I mean, Congressman Raskin is, right to express the intention, but Congress has to okay that kind of investigation. Some of them are potential crimes that the DOJ could look into, but there's a risk that this whole what would in other days be a megaton scandal might actually just be set to the side.
Andy, throughout this hour, we've been talking about what it could look like if Republicans win in November, whether we're talking about the economy, whether we're talking about reproductive freedoms. And so I want to talk about what happens specifically to the January 6th committee should Republicans take control of the House come January. I mean, how that ticking clock then plays into the subpoena. Your thoughts?
We're talking to members of the January 6th committee and their advisors. They are very much thinking of this work as a race against the clock, and that clock ends at the end of this year. That is what is in the organization framework for the January 6th committee. And with the midterm elections so close right now, with control of the House going, very much on a knife's edge going into these midterm elections, they're planning and working as fast as they can to do as much as they can under the assumption that come January, come a possible change of control in the Congress, a Speaker Kevin McCarthy or whoever that Republican speaker might be is not going to say, hey, take another 6 months, or hey, continue that offshoot into the Secret Service. This new speaker is not only going to shut down the committee, but potentially look for ways to retaliate, potentially look for ways to undermine the work that has already been done. So they have a window of time now, just a couple of months, to try to get everything in and everything on the record that they can before that possible change happens.